Hi, everybody. This is JJ Long from JJArtworks, and welcome to episode 6 of our podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. So, in this week's episode, I want to talk about the art of honoring progress. And for me, this past week, I really had to remind myself that I'm making progress on my current goals because I kind of felt like I was going through the motions this week, but there was a lot of things I did achieve, and like I said, I just had to keep reminding myself that I'm making progress toward my goal. And I want to share with you guys the story of how I was able to obtain my sound booth because I can't remember the last time I felt this overcoming power, this overcoming sense of wanting to make progress toward a goal in my life. And the last time I felt this was when I actually obtained my sound booth, which is called a Whisper Room. Whisper Room is the name of the company that makes this type of sound enclosure. And I want to share this story because every week that I was on this journey with obtaining the Whisper Room, I just had to keep reminding myself it's going to come into fruition. I will obtain this thing. This is something I really want. And I just had to keep reminding myself, keep just chanting that in my brain. So let me tell you about, first of all, where I came up with the idea of buying this Whisper Room, because it's something that I think if you're a singer or a vocalist or voiceover artist, or just someone that wants to rehearse on their craft, doing something with your voice, I really feel that as people that use our voices for our artistic expression, it's sometimes hard to find a place to sing, a place to express yourself, a place to rehearse. And when I was playing in bands back in the day, it was easier for me because I was a part of a group. So 4 or 5 of us, we'd go in on rent together, and we'd rent out a jam space, and it was a lot easier. But now that I'm not in a band, it's a little bit more difficult trying to find a place to rehearse and express myself with my voice. So in previous years, I actually used to use my bedroom closet, and it's just not a very professional feeling space. I mean, your clothes are in there, so it's really easy to kind of just not feel professional. It's not meant to be a place where you record or anything like that. And I was like, I don't feel like renting a place just for me to sing, and I don't want to have like this recurring monthly payment. And I came up with the idea of a sound booth, and I was even thinking about designing a sound booth on my own and building it on my own. But I'm like, I have no idea how to build this thing. I don't know how sturdy it would be. I don't know how professional it would look. I don't know if I can afford someone to build this. It was just like so many different things were going on through my head before I actually decided to get this Whisper Room. And when I did a lot of research trying to figure out, what company I wanted to go through, because there's definitely a bunch of companies that do the same thing that Whisper Room does, I was looking at the competition, and I was just kind of like, you know what? I don't feel that these other companies are at the same level as Whisper Room. I just feel like the quality product that they make is just superior to anything out there on the market. So from the moment of coming up with the idea of having a sound booth, I was like, okay, so I'm definitely going to go with Whisper Room. Now, how the heck do I get this thing to Lowell? How do I get this thing to Lowell, Massachusetts? Because they're based in Tennessee. And this was just, I had to keep repeating to myself, I will obtain my goals. I will obtain this really meaningful object into my life. It's just going to take time and patience. So I'm just going to kind of quickly go through the process I went through to actually get this sound booth, and just tell you guys all the pitfalls and obstacles that I ran into. But it was something that I really wanted, and I just kept moving toward it. I just kept staying positive, and I just kept moving toward my goal. So I decided, okay, so I want Whisper Room. I love their product. This seems like something worthwhile. I definitely want this. So I need to come up with the money. And I mean, that's the first obstacle for a lot of us. So this thing, if you're looking at this on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, this sound booth it's pretty expensive. I'm not going to tell you exactly how expensive it is, but let's just say it's under $10,000. Okay, so Above 1,000, under 10,000. And for me, I was like, I don't have that available money right now, but I really, really want it. I feel like this is just, an extension of who I am as a person. Like, I just need to have this space that I can express myself and record an audiobook or record my music or just, get into a space and rehearse and belt it out. So it was just such an important decision in my life. And the decision wasn't the hard thing. It was actually doing the logistics and everything. So where I didn't have a lot of money, I was like, okay, so I could maybe do a payment plan through their finance company, because if you go to the Whisper Room website, they actually have a finance company that you can go through. But I was crunching the numbers, and I was like, it's just too expensive. I mean, at the end of like a 6-year installment plan, I would have paid twice the amount of money for a sound booth. So I was like, it'd be nice to have 2 sound booths at the end of 6 years, but yeah, I was like, I don't want to do that. So then I decided, I was like, well, this is kind of a business venture, because I plan on doing audiobooks, I plan on, doing this podcast, I plan on recording music, and, hopefully at some point making money from all these different things. So I was like, it's more of like a business venture. And I decided to get a business loan. And I applied through a couple different banks. I got rejected by one, but there was one bank that did listen to me and really were very supportive of my dream and my vision for my company. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Chris Sinclair from the Anthem Group. He was the one that pointed me in the right direction and connected me with an awesome bank. So thank you, Chris. You are thebomb.com. Really appreciate all the support you've given me through the years, buddy. Thank you so much. And yeah, so I was able to, and that was like maybe a 2 or 3 week long process trying to get approved from the bank. I had to give them all my tax returns and show them that I'm actually making money through my company and blah, 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 blah. And it worked out great. I got approved from the bank. I got this line of credit, and I was like, sweet. So that's the first thing I tackled. All right, awesome. Now I want to buy the thing. So I called them up, Whisper Room. They're located in Knoxville, Tennessee. Gave them a call, and I'm like, I want to buy this model. They have, I think, 26 different models that I could choose from, different lengths, different shapes and sizes, and different door frames, and all this stuff. And I was like, I want to get this model because I can actually move around in the space a bit more. I have room for like a monitor and a table, all my recording software. I can stick a tripod in here. I got a dry erase board. I have enough space in here to accommodate a keyboard, a piano, which I put in here sometimes when I like to rehearse. That's still definitely a work in progress as far as the piano goes, but quick side note, but I love having that extra space in here to actually write music with a keyboard. But I was just kind of like, you know what, like this is the sound booth I want, this is the model number, blah, blah, blah. They're like, okay, great. So just give us your debit card number and you'll be good to go. So I gave them, and I had to, spend a couple days waiting for the money to transfer from this other bank to like my current bank. And I didn't get, the payment didn't go through. I'm like, oh, what the heck? I'm like, come on, really? So they're like, you have to call your bank, see what's up with that. So I called my bank, and they're like, oh, since it's, over $2,500, you need to increase your daily limit on how much you can put on your debit card or how much you can spend on your debit card every day. So that's something I learned through the whole process. I'm like, okay, cool. So I finally did that, and I'd been waiting for like 6 months to like over a year actually to get this sound booth. I was so anxious to get this thing. So called up the bank, they approved that. Then I called up the Whisper Room people, and they said, okay, awesome. The payment went through. Okay, so now we got to talk logistics. I'm like, okay, cool. They're like, it's going to come shrink wrapped on this 8-foot pallet with about 19, 20 different pieces, and it weighs between 600 and 800 pounds. So you definitely need to be there the day it arrives, and this is the freight company that we're going through to ship this thing. I'm like, okay, cool. So the next part was like talking to my property, because I'm in an apartment. And I was like, first of all, I mean, is it okay that I have this thing in my apartment? They're like, oh, absolutely. Like the property manager at my apartment's pretty awesome. And she was like, yeah, this is totally fine. You're totally cool. And thank you for being respectful of all the other people, all your neighbors in the apartment complex. I'm like, sweet, that's awesome. And, I coordinated with the freight company, and I coordinated with maintenance that helped me lift this thing into my apartment. I'm like, awesome. And I just kept saying to myself, because it took me about a month or something to actually physically get everything in my apartment, like all the boxes and everything. And I just kept saying to myself, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I went through the process of getting the money, getting approved from a business loan, and now I'm getting it shipped here. I'm dealing with the freight company, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, then the day came where the freight company came. They gave me all the supplies. I had my brother-in-law, Andy, help me lift everything to my apartment. Thank you, Andy. youarethebomb.com. And finally, yes, awesome. I have it all in here. I am horrible at using a screw gun, a hammer, and nails. I'll be the first one to tell you that I'm not a very manual type guy. I can paint, awesome, but as far as a hammer and nail and a screwdriver, I'm horrible. I'll be the first one to admit it. My poor future wife, whoever she is. Oh my goodness. So my buddy Forrest Day, thank you Forrest, you'rethebomb.com. He's another voiceover artist, and he is very mechanical. So he was like, oh my God, he was like, I would love to help set this booth up with you, because it's something that, I've never done before. I like the challenge, and I'm a voiceover guy. He also narrates like a bunch of audiobooks on Amazon. So he was like, I'd love to help you out. So then it was coordinate schedules with him, and he was able to finally come assemble the booth with me. And, he came over, we had lunch, we had a couple drinks, and we just spent like 2 or 3 hours building this thing. Almost done building this thing, and, we're kind of like, where is part 19C? Which was like, what was it? I think it was like, not the exhaust system, but the ventilation system on the back of my booth. And I was like, I don't know. These are all the boxes that they gave me. I have no idea where this is. So then I had to contact Whisper Room, because they actually sent us a wrong ventilation system, and they were missing a part of the track lighting that I have up here. So it was like so close. I was like so close to having this thing done, and then I found out, there's still a few parts that are missing. And then I also, where I have this blue acoustic foam in my sound booth, I didn't buy enough, because this was kind of like an add-on feature. So I had to buy more acoustic foam to make sure that, I had every wall space covered, because I like to have things look a certain way. And, so I had to go back to the Whisper Room. The UPS came up, picked up the bad parts, and then, a week or 2 weeks later, I got the new parts, and then I was able to install them my own. But long story short, I got the Whisper Room set up. I have it the way I like it. It was like a year in the making, from the first moment where I came up with the idea to actually physically going through the trial and error to get everything to happen. But I had to keep repeating to myself that this is just part of the process. Progress is part of the process. I need to honor progress. And now I just want to pivot to what I went through this past week, because it was a very similar styled feeling this past week as far as progress goes. So the ultimate goal for me right now, as far as running the paint party business, is that I don't want to teach as much. I love teaching. I love being in front of people. I think I'm good at it. It's a fun time. I love painting. I love doing live painting. But as far as me building the company, it just makes logical sense that I can't be teaching all the time, that I need to be in the office and kind of managing and delegating and kind of building this thing. And it's something that I keep hitting my head against a brick wall with. And as I was teaching this week, I had an amazing paint party this past Wednesday at a biotech company called Medtronic. Thank you, Medtronic. You guys are awesome. This is the second paint party I've done with them. It was an amazing, amazing event. My friend Kelly assisted me, and we painted in front of like 51 people at this biotech company, and everyone was really cool. It was a good time. And as I was teaching, I kept saying to myself, I know I love this. Like, I love being in front of people. I love teaching and, coaching people, and it's such a fun time. But I know that ultimately I'm going to have to take a step back and not do this anymore. And this is just progress. I just have to kind of honor the present moment and understand that this is something that I'm doing right now to get to where I want to go. And that was kind of the theme last week. I mean, I can even relate this to the gym, and I was actually doing the math on this. So since last September, October, I've been going to the gym 3 times a week, which for me is actually huge to have that much consistency, because I'm always the type of person that, and this is something I battle with all the time, but I'll work out for like maybe 2 weeks straight, and then something will happen in my life where I get depressed, overwhelmed, I tend to shut down a little bit, or I get into a funk, and then I don't keep up with the workouts. But since I would say like last October, I've been very steadily working out 3 days a week, and I attribute that to my gym buddy, Rob Kanzer. So Rob, if you're listening, thank you so much. A lot of shout outs this episode. I have a lot of people to be thankful for, so thank you, all you guys. And I'm just it's another one of those things where it's like I'm not in peak physical shape yet, like I want to be, but I have to understand that I'm making progress. I'm making progress every day. And I had another great meeting with Rob this past Monday, and we kind of went over some things that I need to do moving forward in my business. And again, it was just reminding myself, you're making progress. You're getting closer to your goal. It's just going to take a bit more time, and just be patient. So that was kind of the mantra of the week, and that's why I wanted to share with you guys the story of how I was able to obtain the Whisper Room, which I am absolutely in love with. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. That's it today. I know I'm kind of going over time a little bit. But if you could check out our Patreon page, that would be awesome. That's a way for you guys to support the podcast if you like what you hear. And you can do that by visiting www.patreon.com/JJArtworks. And then if you could also visit our official website at JJArtworks.com, that'd be great. And you can learn more about our brand and all the services that we offer. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, we really appreciate it. And I look forward to talking to you guys in episode 7 next week. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you later.